Welcome back to Velocity City, where Formula One excitement never slows down. Today we're tackling the 2023 Mercedes campaign, as they began the season with sky-high expectations and big hopes, working tirelessly on their W14 Challenger to provide their drivers with a car capable of taking the championship crown. Team principal Toto Wolff had high hopes for the W14, believing it would be a competitive force despite its radical zero-pod design continuing for a second season. He even teased a surprise in store for Mercedes fans. However, since the season opener race in Bahrain, all understood that W14 is also a failed package again. Whether it is the real reason behind its failure or not, Mercedes fans wanted to see a W14 with wide side pods, following the trend of its rivals. But Mercedes engineers mainly pointed out the flawed design as the major cause behind its failure. Being radical in its design is good if there is a good output. But there is no point of attaching to this zero-pod design, which proved to have failed in back-to-back seasons. But is it possible to move totally out of this controversial body design as their fans wish? It is somewhat riskier to do such a change overnight in a competitive sport like F1, as it is much more sensitive to aerodynamics than anything else. Through this video, we're going to discuss the causes and possible solutions for Mercedes. Before we proceed, hit the subscribe button and smash the bell icon for more exciting updates. Even though everyone complained about the zero-pod, Mercedes trackside engineering director Andrew Chauvelin pointed out some real issues in the W14 after their real-time race experience in Bahrain. People have tended to use the word concept when they mean the side pod design, and Toto had said recently that we are looking at a revision that is going on to come along in the next few races anyway, said Chauvelin. He thought that there are many more things to solve in the W14 than zero pod, and also explained that it is impossible to move a wide side pod design without proper testing. Nothing is wrong with his explanation, as everyone knows that the development of a Formula One Challenger is a much longer and more complex process which expands over a period of a few months. Each part of the bodywork is tested in the wind tunnel and adjusted in a way to give the optimum performance. Fans really love to see a W14 with wide side pods, but it is not an easy process like criticizing from outside. Further explaining about the matter, Chauvelin said, given the gap to the front, of course we're going to look at bigger departures and more radical changes, but those changes take time to turn into a faster solution in the wind tunnel. You can't do them overnight. There is quite a lot of development that you've got to do around any sort of big change in geometry in that area. Of course, we are looking at where we can improve the car. We are looking for potential to develop, and you will see visible changes coming on the car over the next few races. Andrew Chauvelin identified pace deficit and excess tyre degradation are the issues which need quick solutions, as it affects heavily on the outcome of a race. Ultimately, we've got a lot of work to do. The gap in qualifying was quite large. We were over half a second to the front. In the race that was even bigger, he continued. That was compounded by the fact that when you get the tyre degradation, you need a bit more sliding. The tyres run hotter, and you end up finding it very difficult to keep them under any kind of control. Clearly we've got something that's not in the right place that we need to work on. But ultimately, the other thing is that performance gap to the front. The raw pace of the car is not good enough. We are working very hard at this moment to understand what we can do in the short-term future and in the mid-term future to try and get ourselves in a better place, he added further. Even though he promised for a visible change, it is not clear when it is going to be introduced. Even for the second race in Jeddah, they came with only some minor upgrades. However, Mercedes enjoyed a considerable improvement at Jeddah in terms of performance as well as in the final standings thanks to those minor upgrades. After the first race in Bahrain, Toto Wolff expressed his direct criticism on the zero-pod design, accepting the fact that the misreading of their own test data in the winter and the victory at Brazil last year misguided them in designing the W14. However, he is happy with the improvements made at Jeddah and has changed his mindset into a position to fine-tune the current design in a way that gives optimum performance. Wolff said, "I think the biggest change that we made is actually looking at whether we want to have the car set up in its sweet spot. We've been too low last year and we've been too high this year, and now we believe we know what to land on." On the other side, then obviously everything else follows in terms of floor and bodywork that you want to achieve. So I don't want to sound too foolishly optimistic, but at least we see low-hanging fruit with things that are encouraging. Toto Wolff clearly knows that it is impossible to introduce a completely new chassis with wide side pods due to the cost cap limitations. But with or without side pods, W14 will experience a strikingly different appearance in the near future. Other than these upgrades, the main issue that Toto Wolff is going to face in the future is Hamilton's contract. Lewis Hamilton is in the last few months of his contract, and on the other hand, he is not happy with the current performance of the Mercedes Challenger. Hamilton is now 38 years old, and he needs one more championship to break the all-time record of most number of world championships. He lost his best chance in 2021 when Verstappen clinched the 2021 driver's title in a more controversial way. So he started the 2022 season with the hope of winning the championship, but W13 never allowed him to do so. Following a similar trend, W14 also failed, limiting his opportunity to win the record-breaking 8th world title. If Mercedes cannot produce a strong challenger, then the only option is to leave the German team with the aim of finding success with a rival team. Toto Wolff is not going to blame Hamilton if he wants to leave Mercedes, but he is confident that the Brit is not going to do so, as he has a great bond with the team. If Lewis wants to win another championship, he needs to make sure he has the car, said Wolff. And if we cannot demonstrate that we are able to give him a car in the next couple of years, then he will need to look everywhere. I don't think he is doing it at this stage, but I will have no complaints if that happens in a year or two. I am absolutely confident. We are talking when we want to do it and how, but we just need to change some terms and the dates basically. Lewis is at the stage of his career where we trust each other. We have formed a great bond and we have no reason to doubt each other, even though it is a difficult spell. It will be so nice when we come out of the Valley of Tears and return to solid performances, he said further. We are still at the beginning of the season, and many things can be changed when the season unwraps. After a quick upgrade, Mercedes may return back to their original rhythm, challenging both Red Bull and Aston Martin. With Aston Martin's success, we know that it is something possible, as the Mercedes power unit is powerful enough to challenge Red Bull. The only requirement is to find the right aerodynamic balance to unlock the real potential. And that's a wrap on today's high-octane episode of Velocity City. As the season unfolds, we might see a dramatic turnaround for Mercedes as they go head-to-head with competitors. Will they unlock their true potential and make a roaring comeback? We want to know what you think about the 2023 Mercedes campaign. Share your predictions and opinions in the comment section below. If you're hungry for more adrenaline-pumping Formula 1 content, hit that subscribe button and join our fast-paced community. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next lap around the track. Goodbye.